This short story is Dead Cert by Dave Warner, narrated by Dave Warner. At first glance, from her position in the doorway, it looked like clothes some lazy teen had dumped on the floor, topped by a red scarf. But one step closer, Magdalena saw it was the body of a man, and the red scarf was drying blood. She wasn't flustered. Hadn't felt panicked by anything since she was 7 years old, not with her mother, the Joseph Stalin of tutors, inculcating her. Well, that wasn't entirely true. Sean Ryan could make her feel unbalanced, anxious, even now, all these years on. But, Sean aside, there was no chance Magdalena might feel an urge to throw up or run. Death she could handle. Romance was another matter. It seemed that Elizabeth, the neighbour, had been right to be concerned about the shouting she'd heard early the previous evening. "I haven't seen him since yesterday afternoon," she'd confided. "Usually I hear him dumping the empties about 11 at night. No courtesy." Magdalena had been over drawing up a new will for Elizabeth, and had promised she'd look in on the neighbour, whose name Elizabeth had never actually given. There was no discernible smell, only a few humming flies, but once Magdalena found the front door ajar, she'd been prepared for something bad. Autumn in the southwest is not a season you left doors open. The wind scooted over the powerful ocean, making this one of the world's most desirable surfing locations, but unless you wanted to surf in your lounge room, you kept the door firmly shut. This region also was famous for its wines. Images of spilled cab sav buzzed around Magdalena's brain as she knelt beside the body and checked for a pulse on the very slim off chance. No pulse, no warmth in the body. The back of the man's head was stoved, skull was showing. A yellow marker pen, uncapped, was on the floor beside his hand, and there was scribble on the lino that hadn't been white since CDs were a new thing. There was a low kitchen table right beside the body. On it was a plate with some toast crumbs, coffee cup, a mobile phone, and a small pad on which had been written, "Eggs." A blue marker pen used to write the word was beside the pad. Being careful to have touched nothing except the man's wrist, Magdalena extracted her phone and dialed the emergency number. Margaret River would be the closest depot for ambulance and police. When the operator answered, Magdalena gave the details as concisely as possible, but didn't know the exact number of this house. "No, I don't know the address for sure, but it is right next door to 3 Harper Road." "His name? No, I don't know." "My name? Magdalena Wray. I'm a solicitor. I was doing a will for the elderly neighbour." She had concerns. "Yes, I will remain here. I'll just let the neighbour know." She gave her phone number. It wasn't until she finished the call that she glimpsed 4 numbers written in pen on the inside of the man's left arm. The numbers appeared to be 10, 8, 4, and 3. In contrast to Elizabeth's well-maintained house, this weatherboard had seen better days, and not in the recent past. The wooden veranda sloped down and dispatched you with momentum onto unkempt lawn. As she left the house, Magdalena nearly ended up in the woodpile by the front steps. The blocks here were large, with strands of big trees and bush between properties, and it took a good 4 minutes to get back to Elizabeth's. For an elderly woman like that to have heard arguing, it must have been loud. By the time she reached Elizabeth's, Magdalena was thinking how she would have to reschedule her next meeting. That was practically unheard of here in the southwest, where the pace of life left gaps you could drive a truck through. It would also mean she'd be unlikely to make it up to Bunbury by lunchtime. Magdalena was one of the local stipendiary stewards at the Bunbury Turf Club, and they always met on the Friday to prepare for the next Wednesday's race meeting and debrief on the previous. She'd arranged her schedule so she could call in on one of her Bunbury clients after the meeting. Now all that had turned to shit. From Elizabeth's porch, Magdalena watched the unmarked car cruise to a halt. The local detective, Tony Noblio, climbed out. He had tried to hit on her once, not long after she'd relocated to her old patch from the city. She'd backed off, mainly because it felt weird to date someone you'd been in primary school with. The memories conjured up smells of wet raincoats and overripe fruit left in school bags.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?